Okay, so after about a week of reflecting on the PGA Championship, I've come to a pretty shocking conclusion that even I didn't expect to reach when I first turned off the TV. See, I left the PGA Championship with weird feelings. I loved the setup, I loved the bunch leaderboard, and I thought that a ton of players being in the mix on the final day was awesome. I also thought that the PGA of America didn't really stick the landing with the setup on Sunday, as players couldn't get on the birdie train and make a run. I was happy to see Rai win, but at the end of the day, I thought this major was going to be forgotten in 10 years' time. But after really thinking about it, there is a chance that this could be the most consequential major championship of the decade. And the more I think about it, the more I realise just how incredible this championship really was. Now give me a chance to explain before rolling your eyes, because this was a story of how this man is the total opposite of this man. You really couldn't come up with two more contrasting figures than Aaron Rai and Bryson DeChambeau, and that is at nearly every level. See, Bryson wants to be a star. He's got a YouTube channel with over 2 million subscribers, and he spent years rebuilding his brand from a nerdy, slightly annoying, analytical golfer to the face of the new generation of golf stars. That is important to him. He's part of Donald Trump's government. He does videos with celebrities from all walks of life, and he seems to relish being the face of live golf. Even when asked about a potential return to the PGA Tour, Bryson's focus was on, quote, what I can do for them. Nothing really about how he wants to be back on the tour or how he'd enjoy playing the incredible golf courses. It was about value, and it was about him. That's fine, by the way. If that's how Bryson sees life and that's how he gets enjoyment, by being at the centre of attention and by being famous, then cool. It's his life. But at the minute, it's holding him back, and Aaron Rai showed him why at Aronimink. Bryson wants to be the man. Rai, on the other hand, is terrified of that. The most incredible story about Rai came out after the PGA Championship, and it tells you everything you need to know about the man. After finishing Saturday's round, Rai obviously knew he'd be in contention to win his first major championship. And he was scared. Not scared of the moment, not scared that he wouldn't be good enough. Rai was scared about how everything would change if he was good enough. Ryan Lavner reported this. He was speaking to Rai's wife, Gauri Kabishnoi, on the 18th green after his win, and she told him about a 30-minute conversation the pair had in the car coming home from Saturday's play. Rai was scared, not of losing, but of winning. He was worried that nothing in his life would be the same after he won at Aronimink. He didn't want the fame, the recognition, the attention. He loved his life, and he didn't want to throw it away for a trophy. That's beautiful, and that's who he is. That's the opposite of Bryson DeChambeau. He doesn't want this fame. And that's clear in how they conduct their business every single day, even on the golf course. Xander Schauffele's take on Aaron Rai after the PGA Championship was pretty noteworthy. He was just amazed at how hard Aaron Rai works. Xander said that he himself spends a lot of time on the range, in the gym, on the putting green, as you can imagine. But Rai, he said, is always there. He's been working relentlessly to improve, and improve, and improve, and that led him to this moment at Aronimink. Every year, Rai has gotten better and better and better, and that's because of the work he's done when no one is watching. But the work that Bryson does seems to be when everyone is watching. Now, this isn't to say that Bryson doesn't work hard. He clearly puts hours and hours and hours into his game. But it also seems like he wants everybody to know that. At every major championship, the story seems to be, look at how many balls Bryson hit at the range today. Look who was the last person to leave the range today. Here's Bryson hitting 1,000,000 balls again. At this point, is it fair to call it performative? Let's take the Masters this year, where Bryson took the most shot at the practice range of anyone, 393. Rai didn't come anywhere near that total, but we're told by Xander he's the hardest working guy on tour. He works hard in silence. For Rai, it's about love of the game. For Bryson, it's the love of the fame. Bryson shows everyone how hard he works. Rai just works. And on the golf course, these two guys could not be more polar opposites. Bryson has built his entire identity on just how far he can hit the golf ball. Everything comes back to that. He's in the gym to hit the ball further. His 9-iron is lofted like a 7-iron to hit the ball further. His entire thesis on golf is how far can he hit the ball, and figure the rest out from there. He's pushing hard to keep the game moving in his direction, inventing a new golf ball that can cope with that style, discouraging the golf ball rollback. Every day the game is more suited to him, and every day it's moved further away from Aaron Rai. Rai doesn't have the physical traits of Bryson DeChambeau. He's far from the longest hitter on tour. He's had to work really, really hard to get enough distance to where he can even be a member of the PGA Tour. To survive in modern golf, Rai has to be laser accurate, incredibly smart, and work so hard using the traits that he was born with. He's a golfer from another age, forced to fight against the 350-yard bombers and somehow tread water to survive. But he showed them all up at Aronimink, and that is no coincidence. It is no coincidence at all that Aaron Rai won the PGA Championship and Bryson DeChambeau missed the cut. That happened because in every way they are opposites. Aronimink was supposed to suit Bryson, not Aaron Rai. We were all told before the tournament that the key to winning a round of Aronimink was to hit it as far as humanly possible and figure it all out from there. That's Bryson's MO. It's everything he stands for. A guy like Aaron Rai was supposed to stand no chance. But then the tournament started and it was a completely different test. The PGA of America had clearly had enough of this chat that this historic course was going to be overpowered, and they would not allow it. They made the rough long and sticky, they took the pins away. You couldn't just hit it far and gouge it out, you needed to be accurate, find the fairways, be patient. It was everything Aaron Rai had worked so hard on his entire life, right in front of him. And while Rai was playing to the strengths that had seen him survive against people like DeChambeau for all these years, Bryson floundered. The tables had turned, and Bryson had no answer. All of the hundreds of golf balls that Bryson hit on the range for everyone to see were useless. They couldn't help him on the uneven lies. They couldn't help him in the sticky rough. All the distance he built over the years was actually being used against him, and he was helpless. He didn't come close to making the cut, because whether it was down to his ego or ability, he couldn't or wouldn't adjust. He's the hard-hitting pro that thinks he has the answer to golf, and he's dying on this hill. But while he sat at home watching Sunday unfold on TV, Rai thrived. On Sunday, while Rory McIlroy and Jon Rahm were bombing it off the tee and not finding fairways, Rai ran away with it. The only thing stopping Rai from lifting the Wanamaker Trophy was his own fear of winning. Bryson could rely on his distance to win his major championships, the talents that he was born with. But it was the talents that Rai was born without that won him the PGA Championship. He doesn't have the long driving ability, the pure distance that so many of the best players in the game rely on. So he has to use his brain, his intelligence, adaptability, and the accuracy that were required to win a round of Aronimink. For maybe the first time since he turned pro, Rai had the edge, and he took advantage of that with an incredible performance on the back nine. But he's not the showman that DeChambeau is either. He wasn't screaming and celebrating when he held his incredible putt on 17. Instead, he was stoic. It was a subtle fist pump as he walked to pick the ball up out the hole. All the fear that he'd shown to his wife the night before was written on his face. Did he really want this? And after sinking the winning putt, he was calm, composed, until he looked into the gallery and saw his wife, his security blanket. Then he let it all go. It wasn't worth celebrating to him unless it was with her. Here's Bryson when he won the US Open at Pinehurst. Here's Rai when he won at Aronimink. Both elated, but opposites. Here, Bryson wanted to be celebrated. Here, Rai just wanted to celebrate. So at the top of this video, I talked about how consequential this major championship could be, and there's an emphasis on the could there. See, there's a chance, a good chance, that this major was a one-off. This was one of the few times that a golf course found a way to combat the ever-increasing distances that are threatening courses all over the world. We'll go to Shinnecock and Birkdale, and the usual suspects will be smashing it down there and running away with the win. This Aaron Rai win could be a flash in the pan, and Rai will have to go back to just treading water. But Aronimink gave these golf courses a blueprint. Places like St Andrews, for example, who are constantly renovated to keep up with the modern game, moving tee boxes back, moving bunkers forward, and still being overpowered. Aronimink showed them that with narrow fairways, long rough and tucked pins, you can still take away the superpower of players like DeChambeau and reward players with accuracy and precision. Now they have this blueprint, will they follow it? This setup wasn't for everyone, and players didn't seem to enjoy playing it, so maybe not. But maybe, at least on occasion, these golf courses will decide to combat distance by doing what Aronimink did. And that's a great sign for guys like Aaron Rai. It would make the sport more three-dimensional, a place where different styles of golf can win. So while Bryson's worked his entire life to get longer and has seen the game move towards him, maybe, just maybe, golf is about to move back into the hands of his antithesis. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to like and subscribe and check out the other videos on the channel. I'll see you in the next one.